Good morning, this is Deborah Matthews with my thought for this week. I think it must have been very difficult for those working such long hours in full PPE on the hottest day of the year to then come home and see pictures of huge numbers of people packed together on the beaches. I guess we were all pretty fed up at the amount of litter left on our local beach after people had gone home. It is so difficult for many people who are working harder than ever when others seem to be enjoying their furlough and time off and for the most part not adhering to the social distancing guidelines. But of course there is always another perspective. Having the freedom to travel and enjoy the fresh air has been a great boost to people who have felt constrained by the necessary regulations and just wanted to get out with their family to the beach. I imagine that the opportunity to enjoy some normality with their children was too tempting to pass up. And the beach doesn't have an entrance fee, so those concerned about future employment can enjoy a day out without worrying too much about the money, unless, of course, they were one of those who will get a parking fine. It is unusual, though, for that situation to be so polarised, because we're used to the summer months for some of us be times of working whilst others are on holiday enjoying themselves. And with less facilities to eat inside and more food outlets open, there were a lot more fast food wrappers and empty cans around, and so, of course, the bins were filled up to overflowing. I think the change in weather will mean that this weekend we are unlikely to see such crowds on the beaches. In the church calendar this weekend, it's called Petertide, and that's because we remember the apostle St. Peter. Jesus told his disciple and friend that he would be called Peter, which means rock, and on that rock the church would be built. Petertide is the date in the calendar when the Church of England ordains women and men as deacons and priests. Sadly, this year, the ordinations have had to be postponed until we can have larger gatherings in the cathedrals. So instead, our Bishop Nicholas will license the new curates by Zoom so that they can begin their ministry in their new parishes. Well, St. Peter has much to teach us about ministry. He had many glowing moments of success, but he also messed up big time. His denial of Jesus 3 times was not something that was ever covered up. It was out there in the open from the moment that he let his friend down. When we think about St. Peter, we remember that moment, which I'm sure he would have liked to forget. But Jesus had faith in Peter. He knew that Peter had it in him to be courageous and to do the right thing. When Peter realised what he had done, he wept bitterly at his failure to stand by his friend, the one whom he had once called Messiah and Son of the living God. Peter learnt from his mistake and was determined to fulfil his charge that Jesus had given him, and he grew strong in faith, and in time he had the courage to give up his own life for Jesus. Jesus had also given to Peter the power to forgive others, to release them from the burden of sin, and this is handed down through the church with the gift of ordination. So for me, St. Peter is a good disciple to remember, not just at the beginning of ministry, but throughout our whole lives. We all sin, as we say in the General Confession, through negligence, through weakness, and our own deliberate fault. Most of us do not sin deliberately, and we don't intend to make mistakes either, but through fear or thoughtlessness, we do go wrong. We do let people down, we put ourselves first. And the important thing is to learn from our mistakes, as Peter did, and to think about the effect that our carelessness can have upon others. So perhaps if we go to the beach, we can make a point of keeping to a safe distance from other people and taking our rubbish home. Have a good week and enjoy your surroundings, even if you only get as far as your own garden. God bless.